You are watching Turn to the Stars, and I'm recording today, April 12th, 2018, from beautiful Mount Dora, Florida. And I want to be talking about a series of things on today's broadcast. I'm going to be talking about the new moon in Aries that is conjunct Uranus, which is coming up this Sunday. I'm going to be talking about the Grand Trine in Earth that you see on this universal chart. I'm going to be talking about Mercury's retrograde as it ends at the very same day as the new moon occurs. I'm going to be talking about the Pluto square to the new moon, which is right beside Uranus. And then I'm going to talk about the symbolization with the Sabian symbols of this new moon and the degrees that it's in. And I'm going to talk about the time parallel, as you often hear me talk about on my show. And then the individual signs, all the way from Aries to Pisces, what sort of influences overall you might expect. So if you're just tuning in, Turn to the Stars is a compilation of a couple different things. I practice astrology, began 20 years ago, and I also am a practitioner of shamanic practices, and so that means healing modalities, and I also do ghost clearings. And so if I could be of service to you in any way beyond this broadcast, I'm available at Andrea@turntothestars.com, or my phone number, which is 603-490-6253. You can text me, call me. I'm available for private consults, parties, social gatherings, a lot of fun. And if you have any questions on any of those things, please feel free to contact me. So let's get into talking about the show today and what I've gathered together to talk with you about. First of all, I want to show you the new moon chart, and you can see the new moon right here, right down here in Aries, with Uranus right beside it. And new moons are a time of new beginnings. This one is in Aries, so it's extremely progressive, and really actually very dynamic because it's Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is the planet of action, activity. It reminds us that there's an animal, an ego inside of each and every one of us. And where this new moon is occurring in this chart is in what we call the fifth house of creative expression of children, things we've created, things that we personally design and put our stamp on. And what I was talking about earlier was that, there's a square to Pluto that's occurring on this new moon. And so it really, the word you heard me talk about on the last broadcast when I was covering the full moon in Libra was that these cardinal squares are actually something that we call talent squares, meaning that through trials and challenges and the things that are coming or sort of wakening us up to who we really are, we're going to have some real development of new talent. Aries is a very progressive sign. As I said before, it's a fire sign, it's dynamic, and with Uranus right next to it, it sort of ignites the energy, it awakens the energy. It really is like sudden realizations, and it's also the planet of rebellion. So to have that right next to this new moon in this area of children, of our creative expression, and having it square Pluto. Pluto's over here in the second house of this chart, which is security, our security, and Pluto in Capricorn brings to light government agencies and the government, and with Mars right next to it as well, there's, I think there's some dangers that we need to really be careful of, and be careful of our actions, the actions that we take during this new moon. And as I said earlier, I was going to talk about the grand trine in Earth also. And you can see that in this chart, that from Venus over in the 6th house in Taurus. Venus is the planet of love, relationships. It's the glue that binds us together. And being in it, Taurus, it loves to be there. So there's a certain stability, strength. A trine is harmony. It's peace. It's a gift. It's something that flows very easily. It's a talent. And when you see, it goes right to the midheaven of this chart, which means points straight up at the heavens, which is Virgo. So there's this really nice, easy flow of harmony, and almost I want to say, justice. There's a practicality. There is Mars being in Capricorn is a very nice place for Mars to be, because it's actively wanting to organize. We're actively wanting to organize and to create security, but there's some things that we're having a real challenge with. That's what this chart is showing. However, this grand trine in Earth does give us a sense that things will be okay. However, I'm troubled by these squares from between these power planets and Mars being involved. So, but again, one thing I'll say, I can say several things about the grand trine in Earth. It's a promise of security. It's a promise that there will be a practical, logical approach, that there'll be good things that come to us. So I wanted to speak about that. Mercury retrograde actually ends on Sunday. And so we've had Mercury retrograde for the last 2.5, almost 3 weeks. And it's taken us backward in time to think things through that we had personally affected us personally, or had to do with us on a personal basis. And so by the time Mercury retrograde ends, it's the way we think, it's the way we communicate, it's our logic, our reason. And so it's with good reason that Mercury's retrograde has occurred in it, and it gave us an opportunity to do some research, really look at things over and over and over again, to find that means to a brighter future for ourselves. And it's interesting, I wanted to talk with you because Aries is so much to do with the self, and because Uranus is right beside it, share with you some things that I have really come to mind for me over the course of the last couple of weeks while Mercury was retrograde. And research I've been doing on self-help things, tools that I could put in my toolbox that would help me along the way to know how to manage things in a much more positive way. And some of the things that I just want to mention, because these are things, Aries has to do with the self. And so the human form, the human being, the animal within, the action-oriented type of energy. And with this new moon in Aries, it speaks a lot about the self and self-awakening. So here's some of the things that I've been pondering and exploring, and I just want to put them out there for you. Disease, illness cannot live when we are in the light of love. It's a vibration that disease cannot survive. The vibration of love does not support illness. By that meaning that if you've got a problem, or you're angry with someone, or you're frustrated, and you keep that inside, most likely eventually it's going to cause illness. And so it does take a lot of work every single day, looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing your reflection. And so there's just a little bit of information that you may already know, but I just wanted to bring up because it's been very prominent for me the last couple of weeks, this Aries energy. And one of the things I wanted to mention, in astrology, we look to the moon and its energy as a source of where memories are stored, and realize that feelings are the language of the soul. Meaning, if you pay attention to what you're feeling, which is the moon really inspires that emotional sense. It's the closest body to us here on Earth. So if you're paying attention to what you're feeling, you're hearing your soul's voice. If you pay attention to your heart, you're hearing God's voice, or as some choose to call, the source of divine beginnings, divine creation. And another thing that I wanted to mention, did you know that a soulmate, so many people talk about, I want to meet my soulmate. And did you know that a soulmate is someone we have had a lot of lives with? And these are people that will push your buttons, will challenge you, because there's a lot for soulmates to work out. So a soulmate is just that type of person. So if that's the type of relationships, and a soulmate could be a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a friend, someone that's come into your life and really does challenge you in ways that you couldn't imagine and you couldn't understand why, and it's probably because they're a soulmate. And it's important to know that a soulmate is someone that we've got a lot to work out with. And did you know that there's another type of soul I want to talk about, which is a soul twin or a twin flame? And it's a soul with whom we have no karma. The karma's already been balanced and worked out, and there's harmony. So saying, I want my soul twin. Well, if you have people in your life that are like this, that you always seem, no matter what, you find harmony. You feel really great when you're around them. You're probably a soul twin. And the other thing I wanted to mention, since we're talking so much about self-awareness, self-awakening, did you know that a light worker, someone who does healing work, someone who is working with light, meaning God's divine energy, creation and love, they're a person who planned an extremely difficult life so they can continue to raise their vibration and to teach others how to raise above extremely difficult experiences. And I just wanted to say, we're all experiencing, and most of you know this, that we've been and we're experiencing a shift in consciousness, and have been, especially Uranus entered into Aries back on March 11th of 2011. Uranus takes about a 7-year go through a constellation, and so we're about to the end of Uranus's journey through the constellation of Aries, which is self. So Uranus's energy is awakening, surprising, shocking, could be sudden jolts of change, and rebellion. And so while Aries is the I am nature, which is being awakened, we are likely to receive surprises about ourselves, be shocked by unbelievable occurrences, receive sudden jolts of change, realize areas that do not align with us, and where we do align. And I want to say about Uranus that as it moves into the constellation of Taurus, which I just said earlier, we're about to come to the end of Uranus's journey through Aries. On May 15th, Uranus is going to move into Taurus at 11:13 a.m. Eastern Daytime. It's going to be a big shift in consciousness, and I'm going to talk more about Uranus moving into Taurus and what that means, because Taurus is an earth sign where Aries is a fire sign. Taurus is the I have. What changes will we make with the things we have? The earthly tools we have, the things that are on earth. There's certainly going to be some huge changes on earth, probably big shakeups. Because that's what Uranus does. That's what it brings. That's the type of energy it delivers. So over this time, the process of self-consciousness, while Uranus was in Aries, has been shifting to us to realize that we're all one. Aries is the one. Where did we come from? What was that spark? What did that look like? So it's certainly been inspiring a lot of looking into that over this time. None of us are, I just want to mention, and none of us are really any different than the other. So we've been shifting into what many call oneness. Reminded that we're all one, from intellectual to a day-to-day consciousness of oneness. And one of the things that I like to look at for reference is the Sabian symbols, and Linda Hill does a really great job. She's an astrologer in Australia who does a great job with Sabian symbols. They're a picture of the energy of the particular zodiac sign where where a planet is placed. And with this new moon being at 26 degrees in Aries and 5 minutes, we've looked at Aries 27. And so what she says about this is that through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained. And she says that this symbol shows the talent or the ability to be able to use inner creative energy to revitalize ideas or opportunities that seem to be lost. Whatever it is that you need to do, believe that it is possible, and create an image in your mind, and you will most likely succeed at gaining it or recovering it. Always take heart. There is energy here to recapture things that seem to be lost. And it's so funny. Today I found something I'd been looking for that I wrote back in 2009. I started writing a book called The Bunny Hotel, which is true stories about bunny experiences that we had in my family. And so I wrote through 3 pages of the book, starting it, and I thought I had lost it, and I did a search of my exterior drive and I found it. So I was really excited about that. I'm on the cusp of publishing my first book, and it's going to be called Trapped Souls, and it's a story of healing. It's a true story of some work that I did here in Tavares, Florida. So I'll keep you notified on that when it's going to be published. It's going to be probably within the next couple of weeks. Anyway, to continue on with what Linda Hill says about this particular Aries at 27, she says, visualize what you want, allow time, and watch for it to manifest, and it will bring astounding results. So, I could remind you about the power of creating, the power of manifesting, which the secret teaches us that if there's something that you want to manifest in your life, whether it be, no matter what it is, gratitude is the path toward that creation. And see it as already done. Write it down as is already done. Example, I'm so grateful I have published my book, and thank you so much, Divine Creator. So it could be something like that. That's how I work with that energy. She says sometimes, Linda Hill, in describing the Sabian symbol, she says sometimes, however, the lost opportunities regained come back in a different form than we first imagined. because Uranus being right next to this new moon, I think that's part of it. And it's Aries. Aries is always so progressive and always wanting to pioneer ahead and look at things differently. So she says, sometimes, however, the lost opportunities regained are in a different form than we first imagined. She says creative imagination and visualization and hope is renewed, that we get second chances, last minute reprieves, being forgiven or pardoned, imagineering, meaning that our imagination is huge right now. Our inventiveness is huge right now with that Uranus right next to this new moon. Aries is the inventor anyway, is the one who will try anything. So that energy is big with us. And then the last thing she says is that we're making up for losses. One of the things that she puts at the bottom of her Sabian symbol, and thank you, Linda, for these Sabian symbols. They are so great. I really love them. The caution, she says, is relying on self-pity, which denies using the imagination to recover situations, not noticing the solutions to problems, going over and over lost opportunities. So push ahead, look ahead. The past is the past. Look ahead. How can you be progressive? How can you be inventive? How can you plant the seed of love in every situation in your life? How can you not respond negatively? How can you respond positively? And that's part of this, square to Pluto. Pluto is the planet of total transformation. It can be total devastation. It can be total upheaval, but it's definitely clearing away the surface of the old paradigm for the new to come in. And Pluto's going through Capricorn is one of what we call the power planets. And as it's moved through Capricorn, we've seen many different things, huge changes in the government. Capricorn is government and control in the armed forces and all those platforms that are connected with Capricorn. Capricorn is a very controlling sign. So, with this square from this new moon, which is a new beginning, to Pluto, it says that we're really going to need to use some caution with those things that we say, with those things we want to invent, with those things that we want to change. Take it slow, be careful, listen to your heart, and I would say reply after thinking things through. And that's the most esoteric form of Aries energy there is to take time to use your head to think from your heart and to then, really ponder. Just be careful about the responses, because if you don't be careful of that square, it can be a painful experience. And so that I think that's my message to you today. And I'm sitting here looking out my office door, and there's a female red cardinal outside, and cardinals are typically a symbol of spirit coming to give messages to you or to confirm that you're on the right path. And now she flew away as I said that. So I wanted to see if, one of the things I want to speak about too is that this new moon being Aries is parallel in time to like the beginning of time. Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. It's the starter, the beginning, the spark of light. So it really is parallel to the Paleolithic celestial cults, nomadic consciousness, the hunters and gatherers, the people who survived in the beginning. And so it sort of does bring to light for each and every one of us our survival skills. And it also reminds us that we are connected to one source. We're all a part of one source. I was listening to some things on YouTube this week about from a lady by the name of Dolores Cannon, who speaks about her vision of where we come from, how she sees that, and how she talks to that source. And for me, that's God, that's the divine source. And I've seen that the same thing as she's seen through a dream. I saw myself standing on a cliff, and during that dream there was something going on in my life that was challenging, and I was sort of stomping my foot going, what am I doing wrong, God? And all of a sudden this big light came up in front of me. I mean, a huge warm light. It wasn't hot, it wasn't cold. It just felt like it was love, peace, and it just felt like the most wonderful bliss I've ever felt. And it didn't say anything to me. It just was warm, and I felt like everything was okay. Everything was fine. Everything was perfect with that presence. And I've always felt that was God reassuring me that I was on the right path and that I was a part of his light. And I think that every one of us is one little piece of that huge light. So we are all connected. So anyway, really in conclusion for today's show or broadcast, since this new moon is at 26 degrees of Aries, the signs, if you have any planets in your chart, or your birthday is around the 15th, meaning the 12th to the 15th of any month, or the 15th to the 18th of any month, you're going to feel the energy influence of this Aries new moon. For Aries, it's going to be new beginnings, depending on how your sun is aspected, new beginnings, new insight, new directions, or, there might be some of those talent squares in there encouraging you to grow and helping you to learn. For Taurus, there's going to be some small opportunities for you to sort of be inspired to act on those valuable things that you want to produce. If you're a Gemini, born around the time I just suggested, you're going to feel the influences of this new moon in creating, I would call, windows of opportunity. Things sort of fall in your path and you decide whether you want to take them or produce or put you in a place that will, it'll typically be a good experience, one that an opportunity arises for growth in your business, growth in your life in some way, and you decide to take it because it's an opportunity that will make things, provide a brighter future. If you're a Cancer, this is a time that you might want to use some caution. You might want to slow down. You might want to see how you feel and what your heart tells you before you respond to this experience. Leo, born around this time, this is going to be a great sense of relief that's coming your way. And again, it depends on how your chart is, what your soul contracted for in this lifetime. So, but typically fire it's like a relief that comes your way. And it brings harmony, it brings nice things. If you're a Virgo, this might put you in a place where you need to think about how to resolve conflicts. Small conflicts come up by making adjustments. If you're Libra, this is probably going to bring some surprises into your life, some crossroads. You're going to realize some things through others. You're a Scorpio. Again, this is probably a time where you're going to need to make some adjustments in order to resolve conflict. And that's typically the best approach. If you are a Sagittarius or have any planets in Sagittarius, This is a great time for you. Great time, because it provides relief, open doors, gifts, wonderful time for progress if you're born, anywhere between the 12th to about the 18th of any month. I mean, of the Sagittarius energy. If you're a Capricorn, again, I would highly recommend that you take your time before you proceed. Be cautious. This Aries energy is fast and can be furious and sort of overwhelming to you. So I would recommend that you sort of scope things out, organize them in your mind, and see what's the best response, loving response. If you're an Aquarius, opportunities abound for you, especially with that Uranus energy. If you're born, again, between the 12th to about the 18th of any month, there's going to be opportunities there for you for advancement. Very nice. If you're a Pisces, I would say that there is tiny opportunities here for your imagination, for your visions, for your ability to understand the things in your life that are changing is evident. So you're the most sensitive sign of the zodiac. So you really need time to sort of just discern what decisions you're going to make during this new moon and with these changes that are in front of us. So I want to just say thank you to everyone for watching Turn to the Stars. I appreciate your support. And as always, take care that you be well. And always remember, turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there. Take good care, and I'll see you next time.